am thrilled that you are here. If you are newer to the community, if you are not yet part of the community, my name is Elyse Archer. I am the founder and CEO of She Sells and Superhuman Selling. We are extremely passionate about supporting you in quantum leaping your income, your business, and quite frankly, your life. Because here's what I know. Your business is never going to grow beyond the level that you do. And as you become someone who maybe can naturally hold $1 million a year versus maybe you used to hold six figures a year, this is just an example. People in our community have all different income goals. Everything else in your life is going to shift too. Everything else in your life is going to grow too. I was just on a call with some members of my team prior to this, and we were talking about an upcoming podcast episode we're going to be doing about my own journey of becoming a woman who could have multiple properties. And we've got a couple places now in Maine. We've got a place down in North Carolina we're building up. At some point, I'm going to do another in North Carolina. And the bigger part of me, like my highest level, that is very aligned. My the inner child in me, the part who didn't know that that was safe, that that was okay, that was like, wait, do people like me do that? I've gotten to work with her through this process. And so that's something that I want to help you with today, and that we want to teach and encourage everyone in this community, whether part of your vision and your next level. And I'm just saying this, I know some of you, this is part of your vision, or maybe it's something else. Maybe it's to have multiple homes, multiple locations. Maybe it's to retire your partner. Maybe it's to become a multimillionaire. Maybe it's to speak on a TED stage or a TEDx stage. As a woman who went from living a good life, like doing okay, probably by most people's standards, earning low six figures in corporate, climbing the corporate ladder, but inwardly during that time in my life, struggling so much, panic attacks, anxiety, an eating disorder, a really unhealthy relationship that had me feeling very trapped and small, um, to 10xing and quantum leaping my life and figuring out how to get unstuck financially, turning my annual income into my monthly income, healing a lot of the inner um, challenges and pain that I was in. My team and I want to help support you in creating your own quantum leap. And that word gets thrown around a lot. But to me, a quantum leap is about, Price Pritchett says it this way, it's not something you force to happen, it's something that you've been holding yourself back from. And we hold ourselves back from our quantum leap with resistance, which looks like limiting beliefs, self-doubt, stories of I'm not worthy, etc. I was chatting with someone who had been a private client for a while, and I was responding to him this morning in a message he had sent. And I remember working with this particular individual. He is one of the top performers in a very large global sales organization. He's based out of the UK. And you would never know it, but one of the things that he struggled with a lot inside was self-doubt and imposter syndrome of like, who am I to be number one? Is this okay? Is this safe? The CEO is gonna, like, if the CEO reaches out and commended him, he would be like, is that really okay? Like, is that really me? I don't feel worthy. So the quantum leap and it's something that we worked on, and he had such beautiful healing and transformation around that. But when I say the quantum leap is something you've been holding yourself back from, and it's all based on resistance, limiting beliefs, like it doesn't matter what your life looks like on the outside. If part of you doesn't feel aligned with it, if part of you wonders, am I worthy? Is this okay? Then, um, then the healing and the quantum leap comes when we claim that for ourselves, when we claim that next level, when we say, yes, of course, I'm a woman who has multiple homes. Of course, I'm a man who makes seven figures a year. Of course, I lead this thriving community. Of course, this is natural. This is normal. Of course, of course, of course. Let's talk about why we stay at our current level to start. So again, today is about when you have outgrown your current level, what next? All right. Why do we stay at our current level? So I want you to think back to a time in your life, and maybe it's now. Maybe there's something in your mind or on your heart where you're like, if I was so brave, if I was my fullest self, if I was most unapologetic, I would do blank. Fill in the blanks. I would join that coaching program. I would launch my business. I would move somewhere else. I would get a new home. I would apply for that promotion. We had someone come into the 10K club. This was a few years ago. She doubled her income in 3 weeks because she finally got the courage to apply for something she'd been holding back from until then. And it was in the act of her investing in herself and saying, I am worthy. She went for a promotion that she'd been holding back from, got it, doubled her income in 3 weeks. I want you to think about how quickly expansion can come, right? But I want you to think about right now, what is that next level for you? Now, I don't know if it's possible to experience that without having to overcome some fear, without having to overcome, Bob Proctor called it the terror barrier. I think that's strong language, but there's something like that where it's like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to invest this money and I don't know where more is gonna come from. I'm gonna have to leave this relationship. I'm gonna have to um invest in this team. I'm going to have to pick up and move. There's something that it's going to require of you that is probably going to feel. Now, we're going to use the words uncomfortable because our language matters a lot. But if we're being honest, it can feel like effing scary. Like, let's just call it call it what it is. There's a part of you that you're getting to overcome in that process. And so you may know very well you have outgrown something, but the brain and the nervous system signal safety with what is, right? Where I'm living right now may not light me up. It may not be everything that I would love. It may not be my dream home, but at least I know I can pay the mortgage. At least I know I can pay the rent, right? This relationship that I'm in may not light my soul on fire, but they're there and I don't have to be alone, right? Um, this program that I want to launch, this thing I want to do that I feel called to do to make more money. Well, if I haven't launched it yet, I don't have to know if people aren't going to like it. I don't have to face potential rejection. So if I hold back from doing it, then I won't know. And then I can tell myself the story that, well, it probably would have been successful if I had done it. Does that make sense? So our brain, we get to remember this. Your brain is wired for safety, not for thriving, but you can teach it how to thrive. And that's part of what we do here in the community. Cherie says, feeling seen. Yeah. And it's so beautiful when you know how this works because you don't make yourself wrong for it. It's part of how your brain is wired. But you also have to realize that if you buy into the thoughts of, I shouldn't go for more, or the feeling of restriction when you think about, investing in yourself, expanding whatever it is you're feeling called to do, that you're gonna be staying at your current level. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I personally believe as long as we are on this planet, you're here, you woke up today, you're listening to this message because there's something more for you to do. That's how I think about it. There's something more for you to do. You wouldn't be here if there wasn't something more for you to do. And how is that going to come about? It's going to come about through your expansion. It's going to come about from you being willing to actually play the lead character in your own movie. It's going to come about from you saying, well, if she can make 7 figures in her business, why can't I? Like, why not? Right? If she can do it, why can't I? If he can do it, why can't I? Stop looking at other people to affirm your insecurities or feelings of inadequacy. If you're going to look at other people for evidence of what's possible. and then say, why not me? Like the only reason they're experiencing what it is that you want to experience, whether it's a certain amount of money, a certain amount of success, is because they decided they were worthy of it and they kept showing up. They kept showing up. I was doing a little research on Mel Robbins the other day, and I haven't done like a ton of listening to Mel, but I really like her stuff. I think she's great. And I had a client who was we're like manifesting this client getting on Mel Robbins' podcast. So I was like, okay, let's go check out some of the behind the scenes. And on Mel's website, she talks about like at age 41, she was deeply in debt, like didn't really know what she was going to do with it. I'm paraphrasing here, but I remember it was like at age 41, she was in a not great place in her life. And I thought about, and I don't know how old she is now, 50 something. But how often do people say, well, I'm too old, or it's too late, or it's not happening for me yet? Like all it takes is a decision. All it takes is a willingness to believe that there's something greater for you than what's there right now. It's not that we're not grateful for what is, we are, but there's this concept I call divine discontent, which means that we are grateful for what is and we are available for more. Because God, source, universe, whatever your language is, wants to continuously expand through you. So your nervous system, your brain, your inner child may feel safe at the current level of success or not success you're having, whatever it is for you. However, you would want to label that. I would encourage you to always be in the energy of I am a success, I'm growing, I'm expanding. But you probably want more if you're here, right? So part of you may feel very safe because it's known, but is it your most expansive life possible? Is it is it what's truly available? Is it you playing full out? I love that my mom is here right now because she has this quote in her email signature, and I don't know if you still have it, Mom, but you had a quote that I remember reading years ago, and it helped encourage me to get out of a toxic relationship, to make a lot of changes in my life. And it was something along the lines of the day came when the risk of remaining tight in the bud was greater than the risk to blossom. And that, again, that's a rough paraphrase, but that stuck with me. Like that stuck with me. And that's what we're talking about today. When you realize that you're the one who's keeping yourself at your current level. When you've outgrown your current level, by default, what does that mean? The next level for you means probably more money, more visibility, more opportunities. Along with that comes higher self-concept, more responsibility. Your brain can tell you that's more fear of rejection, etc. So we want to help rewire your brain to feel safe in that, in expanding for more. So I want to help you kind of flip any fear on its head about expanding. And then I'm going to give you three things to do right now when you've outgrown your current level. Number one, you have to recognize the cost of staying at your current level. This is so your brain, let's say that someone wants to, again, like we're just going to use the example of going from 6 to 7 figures in your business. That's what a lot of the members of our community want to do, or they want to make multi six figures, something like that, but they're not there quite yet in the 3D. Some women, I'm just thinking about some women in particular, and we have both women and men in our community, but I work with a lot of women who are in corporate, who are maybe making like a healthy corporate salary, right? 200, 300, 500 grand, whatever it is. They want to go launch their own business and they are afraid. They're scared, right? They're like, but why am I going to leave this? Why am I going to leave this job where I want to, but ooh, what if I don't make any money? First of all, I'd never think that. I would never entertain those thoughts. Those are not helpful thoughts. But they have a desire to build a business that's going to make multi-millions. So what we have to do is we have to flip it on their head and flip it on its head and go to the end and say, okay, I have a vision and a desire to create a business that other people are making multi-millions with. I have this desire for myself as well. So every month that I'm not running this business, that I'm not currently in this business, it is actually costing me money. It is costing me. Let's say you had a $2 million business. Your goal is I want to have a $2 million business this year. To not do it, that is costing you $160,000 a month. You see what I mean? You've got to flip it. I was working with a client on this recently, and she's negotiating. She's got like a payout that she's going to get if she stays at her corporate job, but she really wants to go full time on her business, and she's a little scared of what it looks like to leave. But we talked about it. Like she is staying, she is trading her time, her life force, opportunities, energy for what is far less than what she would be making if she was full time in her business. Now, does that require some faith? Yes. But everything great in life requires faith. Everything amazing that's ever happened in my life has been because I acted in faith, in the knowing that what I want is coming. And that's something that we teach you how to do in the community as well, to take action based on desire, not based on circumstance. Because when you take action based on desire and you expect the best from that action, and you keep your focus and your energy nurturing what you want versus what you don't want, the world must shift to mirror what you're expecting. It's universal law. All right. So, what is the cost of inaction? I want you to really think about that. What is the cost of staying where you are? There's also something I've been really working with the members of our mastermind on a lot is like your energy is money. Money is just energy. So if you have things in your life that are draining your energy, that could be current clients, it could be team, it could be relationships, it could be old programs you're offering that you're not excited about. It is costing you money because it's costing you your life force. So you have to look at the energetic cost of staying where you are and not expanding, right? People will come into our community and be like, oh, well, it's a $10,000 investment to get in 10K club, or it's a $35,000 investment to get in the mastermind or whatever it is. And there can be like a part of them that's like, oh, is that okay? Can I do that? Here's what I want to say is if you are feeling called to it, every day you are not in there, growing, learning, and ascending, you're losing money. You're not making money. Every day that you are not showing up as your best self is costing you something. So again, the brain is going to go to what it knows, which is the current, which is quote unquote safe and familiar, but it's not your highest potential. It's not your highest self. So we can retrain our brain to actually create a great outcome. I would always look at what is the very best thing that could happen? What would I love? Especially in times of contrast, especially when you feel like you're being challenged, especially when maybe circumstances feel like they're screaming at you really loud. Go within, go to what I would love, go to what, man, there's got to be something good here that's helping me shape and clarify what it is that I would love. But then the key is you got to actually take action on it. And that's the third piece here. So I want to talk about if you have outgrown your current level, you're ready to expand. It's kind of like a plant that has grown to take over the full pot. Like I helped my kids plant some planters earlier this year, and we got too many plants for them. I'll just tell you, I got excited. They they each wanted to fit like a whole rainbow of plants within these cute little planters. And we shouldn't have gotten that many plants because the plants can't grow. I'll tell you what, like they are in there and they can't grow beyond the level of that pot. So they're cute, but the plants aren't getting nearly as big as they could get if I had just put one in there. Does that make sense? Or if I had a bigger planter. So you are the same. That's part of why people grow so much. That's part of why when you invest in yourself, in coaching, in this community, you come in, you get in our programs, or you go in some coaching. Again, get support, get coaching. If it's within our community, great. If there's something else that speaks to you, that's cool too. But put yourself in a container that forces you to grow. right? I know I'm going off on a little bit of a tangent here, but I'm going to do it for a second, then I'm going to come back to the three things. I've shared this some before on the podcast. When we bought this house about a year and a half ago, it was an expansion for me. It was by far the highest mortgage payment I'd ever had. Most expensive home I'd ever bought. It's a beautiful home. And I remember the first few weeks we were in here, I was like, is this okay? Like, am I allowed to be in this home? Is this all right? But I settled into it quickly, and now it feels natural and normal. And now we just got another place down in North Carolina, and we're expanding down there. And now I'm getting to really normalize, like, of course, this is normal to have multiple locations and to do this thing, like I shared earlier. But I put myself in a bigger pot because I knew it was going to help me grow. That's why you should always, always, always put yourself in a place, in a container that is stretchy, that feels like it's going to force you to grow to be part of it. That's the whole point. Otherwise, you're not going to get the expansion and the growth you're looking for. So you've outgrown your container. You can feel it. You're like, man, I'm ready for something more. I think that you never want to be in a room where you're the wealthiest person, the smartest person, the biggest leader. You want to get yourself in rooms and in spaces where your old paradigm is challenged, where people help you think, oh my gosh, what I'm currently thinking is so small. All right. I remember, I think it's in Amanda Francis has a book called Riches F. I'll just say, which is a great book. And she talks about one of her girlfriends when she made her first 100K month and she like got scared because she was like, wait, is this okay? Can I do this? And she started having all these fears about like getting cancer and dying. And it's funny how the brain will like tell you all these terrible things are going to happen to you when you achieve your goals. You got to know what's going on there. But her friend looked at her and was like, are you kidding me? Like, I couldn't live off of that. How could you possibly live off of 100 grand? And I think it's so helpful to have those reframes and those people around you who it's not about greed. It's not about not enough, but it's about what does my life look like if I come as the most fully expressed version of me and I allow myself, like I live a life where on my deathbed at the end of my life, I'm going to say, I went for it. Like I played full out. I showed up with everything and I did not waste a second of my life here. Right? That's the type of energy that I'm talking about. I don't think we can really waste our life, but I do think that there's higher purposes of our time and energy than others. And so it's about you feeling like you like sucked all the juice out of life or you really showed up fully. That's what we want to do. That's what I want to encourage you to do. So, number one, you're ready to expand. I want you to look at what would you love? What would you love, 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 love? If you could have it anyway, what would be amazing for you? And here's what I want you to know. And maybe some of you just might need this reminder. Maybe this is the first time you're really thinking about it this way. But if there's something that keeps showing up for you, the only reason it's showing up is because you can do it. And not only because you can do it, but because you're meant to do it. The same things don't show up for all of us. It's different for every single one of you. That's your God-given potential, life force, your divine design, like Florence Scovel Shinn talked about, showing up and wanting to express through you. And it's not just for you. When you follow that and you say yes to it, maybe it's launching the company, maybe it's speaking on a bigger stage, maybe it's moving cross country. But when you say yes to it, there are other people who are going to benefit as well. That's where we have to remember we're all connected, we're all whole, we're all part of one. So you shrinking or holding back or saying, I'm not worthy or I'm not good enough, it's not just you who loses out. It's a lot of other people. Some of them you don't even know yet, right? When I launched She Sells 5 years ago now, and part of it required me to invest. It was at the time, it was a $50,000 investment. I didn't have the money. I didn't know how I was going to do it. But I remember sitting there nursing my son, who was 4 months old at the time, and feeling like there's something in me that's saying, I got to do this. I don't even know why. I didn't have any clients, I didn't have the brand launched yet. No evidence that it was going to work. No evidence. But there was that internal pull of this has got to happen. And now I look at our community today. We have a global community. I don't know how many countries we work with clients in now, but we should find that out. Kim, let's make a note. We should find out how many countries we've served. Um, when you trust what you would love, when you go to what would I love, and then you trust it, and I think about it as the divine speaking through you, again, God, source, universe, insert your language, and you remember it's not just for you. It's not just for you. There's going to be so many other people on the other side who are benefited, right? I think about Joe Dispenza and how impactful his work has been in my life and in some of our communities. And the first time he probably thought about sharing the story of rebuilding his spine with his thoughts, and how he probably thought, oh my gosh, people are going to think I'm nuts. Like, why am I good? There's probably a good part of him who didn't want to share that, who felt nervous, that felt afraid, that felt scared of judgment. Look at the impact his life has had on other people. I healed skin cancer through what he teaches, right? Like, again, you think about you don't know it until you put it out there, how other people are going to be impacted. But you got to go to what would I love? What would I love? What would I love? All right. There's nothing in the world that's too big. There's nothing in the universe that's too big. Um, no amount of money is too big. I've worked with billionaire clients. They make 20 to 40 million dollars a day. If they can do it, so can you. You know, like it's not nothing is big or small. It just is. That's the law of relativity. But then you got to go to number two, which is who is the version of you who has that? So who would I have to become to believe that making $20 million in a day is not a big deal? And doing that on repeat every single day. How valuable would I have to think my time is? How good would I have to think my ideas are? How worthy would I need to feel to leave behind something that is no longer serving? Again, maybe it's a team member, a relationship, client, an old home that used to fit you but doesn't fit anymore. What does the worthiest version of you do? So that's part of what we do and teach in the community. One of the first things you do when you come in is we have an exercise we teach called Old Personality, New Personality, where you literally look at the embodiment of who would I get to be to have this result? Because if you're sitting around looking at your life and you're complaining about it, or you're saying, this isn't good, that's not good, but you're not willing to evolve, you're in victim mode. And I'm just going to call it like you are in victim mindset. If you're not willing to change, if you're not willing to say, all right, I recognize that everything in my life right now, whether I love it or not, is in some way, shape, or form a vibrational match to me. So if I wanted to call in more abundance, if I wanted to call in, um, a certain amount of money, maybe I want to make 100,000 in a day, which is fun. We've done it before. It's really fun. I want to make 200,000 a day. I've done that. It's really fun. Maybe I want to manifest a really successful business or be top of the leaderboard. Who would I get to be to let that be a natural match? Right. And then the third is you've got to take some sort of action. You got to take a step today. And this is where we get to work through the discomfort. We get to take action in faith. I always say, like, if I knew it was going to work out, if I knew it was going to work out, what would I do? And then I go do that. I've disciplined myself to do that. It's very uncomfortable sometimes, but what I find is it literally works out. Like it works out, whatever it is. If I'm wanting to manifest like a certain type of schooling for my kids, a certain home, a certain business outcome, and it requires getting uncomfortable, but and taking action in faith. then you train yourself to say, if I knew it was going to work out, what would I do? You go do that. And then you get to kind of line up with it along the way. And it doesn't mean your brain won't say, what are you doing? Is this okay? Is this safe? You get to focus on becoming a vibrational match to the version of you who has the results you want.